Okay. It's real simple.
Yeah, it's simple, but you know what the hell you're doing. Yeah.
And Jerry, I run a standby on this. Okay, just push the record button, and it'll be in there. That way, I'll download that when I get back. That way, we got a real hard record of it. Okay.
Okay, we'll go ahead and get started here. First off, I'm gonna say that some people in this community do not want the rest of the community to have a say-so about anything. And I seen that last night. Okay, I'm sorry. Last night after the meeting was kind of like disgraceful and everything else, but I will tell you all that this has been a difficult week. It's been a difficult last 2 weeks. What I found out in the last 2 weeks is there's people that try to undermine the board. They try to undermine this community. We don't know when the roofing part is going to be fixed because we're waiting on materials. But what happened the first this month was because somebody did not believe what they were told, had a meeting at the administrative office. They went and called the roofing consultant. He called Vince. Vince called me. I called the guy up, and he was very upset about it. So I was wondering, we didn't lose him, but he was just upset because somebody called him that was like pretending to be, in my opinion, pretending to be a representative of Rough Ridge. And they demanded an apology from me. I'm not going to apologize for that because what they did was wrong in every sense of the word. It means they don't trust what we had to say. They don't trust what the roofing consultant had to say, and they don't trust what the ad hoc committee had to say for that. And I've got like this right here is this is the agenda for last night, but I got emails back here that prove different wise. They are mad because I would not put them on the finance committee, or at least that's what I believe, or they're mad because they don't have control no more of what's going on with the board because we're trying to change the culture in this place and they don't want it to happen. Also, I've got email from a former board member that says they knew what was wrong with the committee, wrong with the computers back last year, but instead did not do anything. They did some stuff, but they didn't fix the exact problem. So we're faced with that. Also, last year, toward the end, they kept saying that we are over 96,000. That is not true. I asked Lynn to go through and look at the money, what the assessments owed for the rest of the year and what the payroll is for the rest of the year. And she told me how much money was left over. We compared that money to what the average per month is, and we are going to be short money. I told these people, I promised y'all at the first meeting, town hall meeting, to tell y'all the truth. And that's it's exactly short what I said it was gonna be. And most of that money is gonna be made back with news and views. We're trying to, hopefully, Patron's working on it, so we can make about $3,000 to $4,000 per month off of it. So that should bring, for 3 months or 5 months, it should bring about 15,000. So I'm looking at that point. That's the reason we looked at having music in the park the first this year and trying to have something. That's why the key thing of the social committee having the poker run out here was try to bring income in. That is the reason I asked Vince to buy that drink machine at the pool, because the money off the drink machine goes into the fund here to help, because we make no money on we make no commission whatsoever off the Pepsi machine, And I will say that the other thing that is on here is, somebody asked me why you think you were 96,000 short. Well, I can tell you right now, I've explained that twice already this morning. I will explain it again for y'all. They did not take into consideration last year that we were not going to have Friday night bingo, or most of Friday night bingo. That was going to be $24,000 or whatever. It's right. Am I right with that? 24,000. The next thing is the miscellaneous income on there. They don't know where that money was coming from whatsoever. So you take those two and add together. Then on the budget we voted in last year, they said there was going to be a carryover of 24,000. That money does not exist. And the reason I'll tell you it don't exist, because they, being the previous board, did not pay the reserves for the month of September. We had to pay the reserve money back. So somebody said, well, can you keep it that way? And I said, no, because you have to fully fund the reserves. That is the way the bylaws and everything else say. And you can't take money out of the reserves to pay the operating budget. That's not the way that works. That's why I tabled the works. We can take it out of the reserves, but you can't say you're short 1 minute and then say you're not by doing the totally opposite, spend money the next minute. Because some people don't understand that philosophy, or the way that works. So everything I said back in November is coming true. We are short money to pay the payroll and everything else. I can say that, and I will say it, that we are short when it comes to that. As far as the dollar amount goes, that could be anywhere from 5 to 20,000. I'm not sure the exact dollar amount yet, but I will get it for you. I know that we looked at the sheet, me and Vince Ward looked at the sheet earlier today, the financial report, and it doesn't add up to what the payroll is. When it says 59,000 on it, well, my understanding is, and I could be wrong on this, but what I was told was the payroll was $28,000 every pay period. There is 11 pay periods between now and the end of the year. So I took that money, I added that money up. I said, Lynn, what is the money taken for assessments the rest of the year that are owed? She told me what was owed. I minus off the payroll, and then that gave me the money left that you could have for like utilities and stuff. And that come to a number that I thought was not going to be enough to pay the utilities or anything like that. So I said, we are short that amount of money. And that money was my understanding, it was high at that time, but I figured we'd take some of that money, most of the money we'd get back from the News and Views switching it over. So, but the rest of it we don't. So we have to figure out what we're going to do with that part. And most of that is because a lot of that shortage was not, we have not spent no money. No money's come out nowhere for anything other than what was coming out of a wish list or whatever for the vending machine there and stuff like this. But as far as blatantly spending, they spent money on the computer consultants, constantly trying to fix those computers at the front and how they work with the guard shack. I actually stood up our guard shack and one day, and the computer froze up while I was there, one of the tablets. So she said she could not check anybody in because she couldn't enter that, the name and the address and what the tag number was. I said, what do? You can't have it back to the 50. So she let them come onto the gate. So, and she said it could be frozen up anywhere from 10 seconds to 30 minutes. So that was crazy. So that's why we was thinking about something like, Gate Century, which actually was not my idea, because that was $10,000, well, it was $800 a month to maintenance that thing, and it was gonna be $800 a month forever. So that could be $10,600 a year. And I thought, forever, that's crazy. That was not my idea. And I don't like it because I want a stopping place where we pay a certain amount to get some kind of program in here, and it's more secure. Her data goes on our software in our server, you can say it. I'm not a computer guy, but that's where it is with that. But it goes back to this email. I know he's out there listening to me, which is fine. He sent me an email saying he knew what the problem was and tried to corner me last night about it. And I told him, why did you not, if you knew if something was wrong with the computers, why didn't you fix it? Instead of saying they were fixed. That's wrong. So that's my speech. And I will also know, you will know something. It'll probably come out. I don't know when it'll come out, but they have decided, this group has decided to contest the election results, saying that the ballot box was tampered with, which in fact, they started that deal the middle of April. And I just got an email on it the first of this week, that they were trying to pull that stuff. So, and be aware, there are some people that live in this community and they are wolves in sheep's clothing, exactly what they are. And they don't want the residents to have a say-so in anything. They don't want to be in any committee. Like last night was a great example of this. They don't want you to vote whether you have two members of the same household be on the board. They don't want that. They don't want, the CEO thing that happened last night. It's okay with me. I don't care if they have the name of CEO or whatever. I don't care. It can be, they can just call me Jerry. That's fine. I want that because I don't believe in that anyway. But that's what they tried to do last night. And this nitpicking, like they can go to like I talked about last night, they'll look on the budget and say, okay, this number's off $2,000. And it may be, or three, they got one item that's they looking at, it was off $3. That could be a typo error, anything. But they want you to spend time want Lynn and Carol to research it, and they getting paid, and you're spending 3 hours trying to find where the $3 is at, and that's crazy. That's not benefiting y'all as residents. And what's important to y'all is like what time the pool closes, what time it opens, what time where you park it out here, or how you get through the gate and everything. You don't care about if it's off, somebody made a clerical error in plan, but when Sandy was attacked last night and I was attacked last night and Joanne was attacked last night, I mean, that's crazy that they think they can get away with that stuff when in fact they can't. And we're not gonna let that stuff go because I was elected because I want to represent all the residents, not just a handful. And the way they want is they want to say that I don't give the respect they deserve. Well, they don't deserve respect. You can't send me an email saying you won't answer these questions, but in it you cut me down 3 or 4 times, or I'll read you an example real quick and then I'll get off the subject and go ask somebody's got some questions. Okay, this is the one I got. It says, Jerry, I think you're misunderstanding the reason for contacting Mike Long. We are looking for clarification of the $1,975 charges. That committee was already formed before before we was even elected. What they don't say is, what they don't want you to know is, I do not understand how you could interpret this as trying to sabotage and embarrass the board, since we were only seeking a clarification. Well, your clarification, I gave you all this information at the office, so why would you call him? You got the check, you got everything else. By going behind our backs and contacting Mike Long, the consultant, after I explained to you, the ad hoc committee had recommended we hired him. That's exactly my response. And that was the only email I've ever sent a request to. Because he's taking up too much time in the office looking for $1, $3 or whatever, and it takes away from Lynn and Carol's job. We're trying to find spots for the RV compound so we can figure out vacancies in there, or so the people can get off the waiting list and things like that. Looking for the speeders is trying to be another thing we're trying to concentrate on, and they're taking up everybody's time over nitpicking stuff like one budget item line, when we got things people want to make sure that we try to catch the speeders and everything else. That's what I'm focused on. So I'll quit right now because it gets me too excited when I talk about that. So if anybody's got any questions, all right, go ahead, Joanne. Come up here to the podium because somebody's going to be on next door. Not next door, on YouTube.
I owe you an apology for last night, okay? Totally out of character, sorry, okay? He had it coming, okay? If Vinny, and I'm sure you're listening to this, he could have came in this meeting and handled it like a man, and he didn't. You do not wait outside of a meeting hall and attack somebody that just came out of a hospital 2 months ago. There was no reason for that whatsoever. And this community was coming together in unity. This community has never been together the way it's been together, okay, at all. To see what went on out in that parking lot last night was a disgrace. You don't attack people because there's 10 of you. That's all there is. There's no more than 10 that's doing what you're doing. You're trying to rip apart an entire community because your board lost. Not gonna happen. No how, no way. You're not taking down an entire community. Not gonna happen. You can sit there, you can rant, rave, do whatever you want. You hear me, Vinny? You got it, because it's not gonna work. You keep coming hardball, just gonna get hardball back.
Okay.
So, I don't know what to tell you, but it's not happening. I feel terrible what happened. Everybody in Brookridge needs to stick together. There's no more than 10 people that are pulling this. We're a good community. I'm here 16 years. You cannot verbally attack people, especially when you're not getting your way. This board is an amazing board. Things that have worked here, we are seeing things that we haven't seen in here in years. People working together. We started a food pantry. All the people, the maintenance crew, everybody is working together in here. Everybody, the office staff, everybody, it's working. And if everybody's spirit's working, everybody, the COVID did not help, let's face it. It did not help. So a lot of things we fell back on. Stick with it.
Okay, we'll get some questions. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions? Yes, you can come on up. So it'll be on video.
Okay, Jerry, here comes the infamous question. Number one, when are we going to see an annual report from last year's fiduciary? And number two, we're going into a fiduciary thing. The last statement that was made by the last board is that we were solvent, and now we're hearing it we're short. I'm real scared. Can you give us some idea of when we're gonna see that auditor's report?
Okay, it was supposed to come out back in, my understanding, back in May, but Masters was the one that was doing the audit, and they had a death in the family, so it had to go to a different auditor and got sent over to them. And my understanding with that is, let's see, I think they're supposed to have it, they was gonna have it one day this week, but it doesn't look like it. They're gonna be done with it this week. And that's why a lot of things were tabled or whatever, like, because I don't want you, I want everybody to know that I want to see that myself to be sure that, but right now I look at the dollar amount and I see where the short is. The short is based on a dollar amount, and but we do have a plan to solve that problem, so it's not like we're, we throwed our hands up in the air with this thing. We didn't. The news, like I said, we got the news and views, plus we got some other stuff that can solve it. And I wish that things would have been taken into account back last November. If they would have held off and said, okay, we not got bingo or nothing, but they're trying to force it down our throats with that, and wouldn't never say what it was, what they were using any kind of money for when they was trying to raise the RV compound fees and stuff like that. If they'd just come out and said what they were going to use the money for, it might have helped. If they said they was going to be short, that'd be one thing, but they did it all wrong at the wrong time, because most people get Christmas, they buy Christmas gifts, and those bills come due in January or early February, and you're faced with paying $120 or $360, which is what some of them would have been. You can't pay that money. So I realized that would be a problem. And so I will take other questions, other comments. I know some people think that they don't believe this thing happens like it did last night, but it does happen, and it does happen in here, because they're so determined they want their way for so long that they will try anything they can. They will try to get you to think that we're not doing anything. The fact is that we are doing everything we can to make sure that all the amenities stay open, that all that the grass gets cut right and everything else. When I first came out last month and said something about it, we were hoping that the stop fees would be more money. Well, the truth of the matter is that is actually started slowing down next to nothing, even though that report says $5,000. It's not that much. And also the background check thing, you gotta realize you gotta make it up somewhere, which would be a lot of attorney fees were spent the first of the year. They signed a maintenance contract with the IT people that's gotta be, they didn't tell you about. There's things done they didn't tell about. So, and we're just finding out some of this stuff. So, anybody else got any comment, question? I hope I answered your question when the budget comes, because I want to see it too. And oh, by the way, the people doing the budget are wanting $10,000. So you got to think that part of their money's already been paid to them. The down payment, the rest of the difference will have to be come to you when it's actually done. So I'm interested to see that, because if the auditors don't move the money around right, or see something they need to change or whatever different way. And I will tell you this, on the budget last year, reserves, they were supposed to, instead of putting money in the roof of the clubhouse, they were supposed to put money in the side elements on there, and they didn't, and they took it out, and they took money from the cars, and the side elements are like, they're both ridiculously low when I look at that. And that's not what you see when you look at the averages per year. they just decided to do that on their own. So, anybody else got any question about anything, I'll try to answer it. Yeah, go ahead, come on, Ken.
Sorry about being a pain in your tuchus. I hope that's politically correct. I know you tabled the computers, okay? How much longer can we hold these computers together under their current operating systems without expending what it would cost us to just replace them?
Well, they have to be, when you look at changing them out, you have to look at, like Vince has got some that don't work right now, right? So you have to take those into consideration too. Plus you're considering what? Right now, we're using, most of them use Windows 7, and Windows 7 is not supported. Some of that was in this email that was sent that, he was correct. Some of the programs were bootlegged, I can tell you that were illegally put on there by Ray Giroux. And from that standpoint, but if they'd have known that, then why is it not removed? Because you could basically every fine for that. So I don't understand why they waited so long on that and let it go like that. And try to tell y'all that they fixed the thing when in fact it's not fixed. Because, I mean, it works every now and then, but why would they pay Todd and them $600 a month maintenance, which is exactly what they do, is why would they do that? They would do that only one reason, so they have somebody come in and do maintenance on them, so they don't trust the computer system. So, any other questions? Yes, you can, I got the paper that says it says $595 on it, is what I read. So, yeah. Everybody, come.
Because obviously you don't have to, I don't either, so I could use the $600 for.
Well, what I've learned is they basically kick the can down the road a lot of times and over what was done last year, and then this year's board has to face it, and I'm the one that has to face the brunt of this thing, because it's almost like they're gonna try to say that it was my responsibility. Why didn't you say it sooner? Well, how can you say it sooner when you have a stroke within the first 2 weeks, and then you're in the hospital, and then you weren't whether you can walk again, or gonna be able to walk again, and then when you get out, and then you tackle all this stuff, and then you find out that they're complaining that the going behind your back and contacting somebody, and they'll say, oh, we got a right to. Well, yeah, you got a right to, but if the guy cancels and says he won't do it, then what you gonna do then? How many people is gonna climb on this roof right here and go up there and look? You're gonna have to get somebody else to look at it. If you need to be looked at, make sure the job's done right, whatever. So, as far as Hezarelli paving is done, they're supposed to start paving, the first couple of weeks of, August, and they're gonna fix this spot out here where the tree's taken down here. And somebody said, why don't the golf course pay it? Well,
It's our property.
yeah, it's like majority of it's on our property, majority of the roots and stuff went out and made the parking lot like it is. That reminds me, by talking about that thing, eventually, some of the trees are gonna have to be removed on Brook Ridge Boulevard. If you ever look at that, the roots and stuff are going, or they don't have deep roots, so they're going across underneath the pavement. You'll see it buckle some places. Well, you gotta think about it. Down the line somewhere, you're gonna have to have those trees removed, because it's gonna make the pavement where you can't drive over it, so. But that's where that goes. Let's see, mainly I try to do these things, try to keep people informed of things, and I hate to be the one that had, most people didn't want me to talk about what's going on with the budget wise, but hey, I do my best not to hide stuff from anybody, because y'all have a right to know this, not just a handful of people. So, let's see what else is going on here. Oh yeah, we are going out to the RV compound next Tuesday and try to reline up some of the spots or look at how it's gonna be organized and make sure what trailers belong there into what space and all that stuff. So my goal with that is to eventually get people down to, like off the waiting list, tell them a spot they can go to and stuff like this. Instead, just, right now, they're just hanging out there because nobody knows what spot. I mean, it is on paper, but we gotta go do some searching of the tags and stuff of what's going on there. Let's see, I'm trying to think of what else. That's about all I have right there. If anybody wants to, ask a question about some things, I'll be glad to do it. We are checking. Yes, go ahead. That's, right now, we're waiting on Billy to get done with, get his mowing caught up and his crew caught up, and then we're gonna repaint that, and we're waiting on
Waiting on Azarelli to finish paving it.
yeah, and Ezra to finish paving it down on that end, but also to realign those spaces between both walkways, which is about, I'm thinking that's 6 or 7 spaces. They're gonna have signs in between them that says golf cart only. And the reason we did that is I think we got enough spaces around for handicap if we have to, because we're doing the painting, because Billy says he can do the painting, and it's not the same kind of paint that they use to put on the dividers, that he could change that, or we could change it if we want to do all handicap parking across there. So, but it'll be after they fix that hole out there. And that's what's going on with that. Let's see, what else we got? I'm trying to think of, I don't write anything down because it's hard for me to, with this hand, it's hard for me to do anything with my signature. That's, or it looks bad, so, I don't write much down with that. Let's see, we'll relook at I have to find out about the tractors and stuff. I know it's in reserves, and I know that may be a possibility, like next month sometime be put back on the agenda, but, the main thing we're focused on is trying to change the rules and regulations on some of this thing. It's like the inconsistencies and the holes in things. I will say that I've looked at, can we make sure the ACC, that code enforcement doesn't have to go out to a house 5 and 6 times to make sure it's okay. So we've actually thought about, looking at the possibility of maybe changing the ACC guidelines on that, or thinking about it, like to put more than one project on the page so they can do it at one time, and maybe that'll cut down on the number of times that they have to go out to a house to look at it, to see if the project's been done or done right. The question was asked last week about how many times they check the fence out here, right up down Grove Road, that kind of thing. I've asked him to check and see what we can see fence-wise from the outer perimeter, whether we can check that from the inside perimeter. But most time they go to the back gate out there on Spectre. They go the other way around to see if there's any damage out there and see if anybody's cut the lock or cut the locks off of it. I do know that part. We are looking at ways to cut the fuel costs down and other things down. We're seeing what we do, but we got, everything's lean right now. So, that's where we stand at that. So, I don't want to take up too much time because I know that, we having the reception here for, Paul, right? What was his name, Paul? Ray?
Ray Sizemore.
Ray Sizemore, yeah. It's gonna be here, at 3 o'clock, so that's why we moved it up to 1. Because I always want people to be able to ask questions, and I'll try to get back with them on it. Let's see, can't think of anything else with it. We are crowning those roads in the middle. The pavement, you won't see it because it'll gradually go up to kind of similar to, best way to describe it's like this pillar right here, is like it'll be down on the edges and be crowned in the middle, like it'll be not a hump, but it'll come up higher grade so the water will run to the side. We got that issue on 2 of the roads that's gonna be paved. And then I noticed it's on other places, when the time comes, it'll be on, like, not this year, but when Country Club gets repaved, Country Club especially is bad down, or Edge Knoll and, all the way out through there past the golf course, on out to just about to the stop sign. I noticed it was flooded the other week, really bad, so, and we crowned it to make it higher in the middle so the water runs to the side. That's where that comes from. Usually these town hall meetings are a little shorter on the, right after budget meeting, a board meeting, because we, talk about what happened last night, or we don't have one, so, but anyway, I decided to keep it, so I can share what happened last night. But if anybody doesn't have any questions, I'd like to, say that, I appreciate everybody coming out, and I appreciate, anything we can do, and I noticed that we got, that we have volunteers on committees. I've done put them in places. We need volunteers for the AVRC is one of them, because they only got 2 people, and they canceled the meeting this morning because they didn't have a quorum. Or they had an appeal this morning. So that's one committee. I think it was 9 o'clock is when it's supposed to happen this morning. And then, there's gonna be a rules and regulations committee. It's gonna look at the rules and regulations, just give a recommendation of what needs to be changed and what needs to be looked at, like, I don't know, it could be anything. It could be like, why a car gets parked well, I ain't gonna say, I don't know what they're gonna look at. And that's one, and then there'll be, already got the advisory committee looking at speeding issues other than the signs, speeding sign and cameras. And then we have last committee is gonna be, a veterans committee, and Sandy's gonna be part of that. And, Ken Island's gonna be a part of it, and then some other people gonna be part of it, and they can put like flyers out here in the library. Thomas, and then, so they can see where they can get benefits from, and without having to go all over the place. Their goal will be just filling up that shelf in there. And then we'll have as you'll see, there's gonna be some changes at the administrative office, not much, but as far as the lobby goes, we had the box taken out that was there, that was sitting on a white table. It was a helping hands thing. We want to put one of the old computers in the lobby, and it'll be scrubbed, or all it'll have on it is internet access and what the recommended contracts are going to have on it, like, and then we'll still have the vendor books there, but they can look to see what the reviews are and that kind of thing in the lobby, make it look more professional. We have taken off, just so you know, we've taken off the directories, no longer on the thing when you go right inside the door, news and views on it, but the directories are gone because we want to eliminate as many people from having the book that don't live here as residents. That's going to be a safety factor to us. So they have to ask Vivian if they can get a directory. and it'll be, still be put in the new resident packets. But it'll be where somebody just can't walk in and get one that's not a resident here. So that was Sandy's idea. I'll give her credit for that. That's where it came from, take that off, so. Let's see, that's about all I have. Trying to think of anything else. Vince, you turned in estimates on resurfacing tennis courts, right? Okay, we got that still. To look at and how much it's gonna cost to resurface the tennis courts down there and that kind of thing. I was glad that we passed the noodle part last night, because I know that particular noodle was, one gentleman had it, it was for his therapy. That flat noodle looks like a 2x4, is what I call it. That he's able to use that in the pool. They've been waiting on that roll, and I said, you know what, it's the same size, it's just a little bit bigger, and it's made out of the same material, so why not? What that was. I can't think of anything else, so if anybody has any more questions, I'll be glad to answer that. So I appreciate everybody coming out for this thing, and we will go to Sizemore's reception hour at 3:00. Thank you.
We do it, you know, Tuesday or Thursday?
Oh, yeah, next week, Vince is not gonna be here part of the week, so we will have the town hall meeting will be on Tuesday afternoon at 2:00. Is that okay? Okay, we'll do it Tuesday afternoon, because he knows how to run it, but he gave me a list of things a while ago, how you run that computer, to get to the, to do a live feed, so, but I'd rather him be here to set this thing up, okay? All right, I appreciate it, everyone.